I have known today's guest, Stephen Ho, for more than 25 years. Stephen is a martial artist, stunt performer, trainer, stunt coordinator, director, a dad, and he's my dear friend. If you follow Bruce Lee's social media, then you know Stephen as dad of the super successful, adorable, and amazing identical twin martial artists, the Twinjas, who have been doing weekly segments for us now going on 18 months. Stephen is a real deal martial artist, as you'll discover when you listen to this episode. His love of martial arts was first sparked at the age of 4 by none other than, you guessed it, Bruce Lee. An original Mutant Ninja Turtle from back in the day, Stephen has gone on to work in all aspects of the business, including writing and directing his own film. He currently serves as fight choreographer and consultant for the Walking Dead franchise. Stephen is a devoted husband and father and is committed to ensuring that the next generation carries on the true values of martial arts in the spirit of Bruce Lee. Come listen in as I catch up and talk family with Stephen Ho. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Lee podcast. My guest this episode is Stephen Ho. Hey, Stephen.
Hey.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Happy to have you
Yeah.
here. So some of you may know Stephen because, first of all, we're longtime friends. And
Decades now.
Decades now, yes.
We'll just leave it at that.
Exactly. More than one decade. We're not to say how many. But, you know, this season, the topic is family. And so, you know, consider you part of my extended family. And you're someone I've known for a long time. And we work together. I was going to say you guys might know Stephen because his kids are the Twinjas, and he's often in posts with them.
And I'm the dad. I'm the Twinjas' dad.
He's a Twinjas'
So
dad.
by default, I have to be in the videos because I'm the adult.
Right. So nowadays, Stephen goes by Twinjas' dad.
Exactly. Or dad of the Twinjas.
Or dad of the Twinjas. Yes, exactly. But you have other things that you've done.
I've had past lives.
Yeah.
Most people are excited about the fact that I did the stunts for Donatello in the original Ninja Turtles Part 2 and Part 3.
Okay.
That train has kept going. I thought it was going to slow down at some point, but still everyone has this fascination with the original Ninja Turtles still, you know, especially now since they don't do costume work anymore and it's really CG.
Yeah. Well, I remember you had the head of Donatello.
Yeah, I still have it.
You still have it?
Yeah, of course.
But at one point you were giving away pieces of something.
Yeah, it was starting to deteriorate. Uh-huh. So there was kind of turtle skin ashes that were coming off, for lack of a better word. I don't know what to call it. And so we were doing giveaways of major turtle fans. I'm like, you guys want some turtle dust? Yeah, I called it turtle dust.
Turtle dust.
Yeah.
It's like magic. Yeah. It's like fairy dust, except it makes you be able to have martial arts skills.
I don't know. But there's people out there. You guys are out there. You have the turtle dust. Let us know. We'll look out for you.
Yeah. How's it been? You've been using it for anything? So you were Donatello in the costume doing the fighting.
Yeah.
For 2 and 3 of the original live.
The original ones, yeah. Secret of the Ooze and Back to Japan, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. And then, but you've also been a stuntman, a stunt coordinator, a director. You've been on Conan. You've guested on Conan.
Yeah, we've done Conan about a dozen times. Yeah. It was a lot. So basically I would go on and teach them the ins and outs of stunt work or martial arts and basically just beat the crap out of them for ratings. Pretty much.
Which is pretty fun.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
I remember I came to see the episode.
Yeah, the Bruce Lee episode.
Where he wore the yellow jumpsuit.
Yep.
And I gotta say, like anybody who puts on that yellow jumpsuit, I give them so much props because like that is a form-fitting outfit.
Yeah. You look good. You rocked it.
You did, yeah. You did. You look good. That was a fun.
Can we show a clip of that? Do we have the technology for that?
We do have the technology. We could probably do that. I guess you'll have to wait and see if that happened.
Okay.
But anyway, but you're a longtime martial artist. I mean, would you say that, like my dad, martial arts is like your first true passion?
I would say it's my only passion. Other than my family.
Other than your family.
It really is. It's I have like 4 decades now.
Wow.
Of doing different martial arts. I fell in love with it after seeing your dad at it was either Gemco or Fedco, one of those discount stores back in the day. It was kind of like a Costco version. And I was there and my mom was, left me alone. And I was looking around and just walking around. You could do that back then. And I just heard and I'm like, what is that? Right? So I walk over to the TV department and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was like the main TV that they had. And it was your dad in the dungeon scene under the dragon with the nunchucks, right on the nunchucks. And so I just like watched the rest of the scene and it was playing on a VHS. And I watched the rest of the scene and I was just like, I was confused. Like, what is this? Like, I've never seen martial arts. I've never seen an Asian male, in that action hero role.
Right.
And so when the scene was over and they started getting to the dialogue, I'm like, I got to see that again. And so I futzed with the machine, with the VHS machine, and then it got static. And then I freaked out and got scared because I thought I broke it and I ran out. But after that, like I literally, in my mind, I set my life goal at that moment.
Wow. How old were you?
4.
Whoa.
Yeah. 4, for sure 4, because I was in Southgate, so 4.
Wow.
And so I set my life goal. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it. Like, I knew it. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I wanted to do that. Whatever this dude was doing,
right?
I want a little bit of that turtle dust to get there. The Bruce dust.
Right.
So that was it. And then from there, I really never turned back. I wanted to do that, and my parents wouldn't let me train at all for many years. I got kicked out of preschool for fighting. Long story, and let's just gloss over that.
Like, we're not going to amplify the fight.
Yeah, they didn't understand. They didn't get it.
Yeah,
they didn't get it.
I mean, my dad's parents didn't get it initially either. They were like, no, we don't want you to learn how to fight. You're already getting into trouble all the time, and the martial arts schools are feeders into gangs and bad behavior. They were like, no. But like you, he was like, no, this is what I want to do.
So I just had to force it to happen. I mean, I basically, I would rent books from the library. I remember like Bruce Tenger Judo books, and I would like try to practice from the, step-by-step pages. My uncle would sneak me books like the O'Hara series books. He would sneak those to me, like, for birthdays and Christmases and stuff like that. And then I had this bright idea that if I audio taped, because we didn't have a VCR or anything, but if I audio taped the Black Belt Theater movies, those Shaw Brothers movies, and I imitated them and I memorized them, that it would make me a better martial artist somehow. I mean, I was hungry. I was like, anything that I could do.
Yeah.
And then I think eventually when I was 12, my mom's like, okay,
okay,
I guess you really want to do this.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Then I was like on fire. Like I would train every day. I would set my alarm for midnight. Yeah. Cause my parents, I got a little nuts with it. And so they restricted me to training like 3 days a week.
Okay.
And that really hurt me. I was like, that's 4 days that I could be getting way better than I'm not.
Yeah.
So I would set my alarm to midnight when everyone was asleep. And then I'd climb down I'd climb out my window down to the trellis into the backyard and train for like an hour and then come back up, go to sleep. And
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were
I was into it.
Really into it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you still are.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And your kids are.
And my kids are, yeah. So I have a renewed enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You know, because now I'm looking at it from a different perspective.
What is that like being the teacher, like stepping into that role? Do you find that it's enhancing you in some way?
Being a teacher always enhances you,
Mm-hmm.
no matter if it's your kids or anyone, because if you're able to break it down and teach it and you verbalize it and you break it down and you know how it works for this person, but it doesn't work for that person. I mean, the more that you teach, the more that you learn yourself.
Yeah.
The difference with kids is I think it's the fine line of you're wearing the coach hat and the dad hat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it well, it's a super sweet spot. Yeah. But I think if you do it wrong, it can go dangerously bad.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, it's more in the beginning of finding that balance of, you know,
right.
I'm going to be the coach, but not all the time, just during this hour, you know?
Right. Because you don't want to just be the taskmaster.
The taskmaster, and also, you know, like your dad's philosophy, really martial arts, I think what every martial artist has in common is that they're seeking perfection. And that the OGs know that you can never.
Right.
You can never. It's the young kids. It's me when I was 15, like, I'm perfect. I got this. You know? But as you get older, you're like, oh my God, I know nothing.
Right.
I know nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's more about what were we talking about? Sorry.
Being the coach versus, like the taskmaster.
Yeah. So I think it's more about, as the coach, you're seeking perfection. And when I'm training my boys in martial arts, it's like, okay, we're seeking to perfect this.
Uh-huh.
But then when we're not doing martial arts and we're throwing a football, I don't have, you know, I think a lot of parents, I think, will go overboard and like everything has to be perfect. It's like, no, you throw a football, you don't know how to throw it. Haha, that's funny. You know, and it's like everything else is at the door. We're doing a jigsaw puzzle, no big deal, you know, but then when we train, we're back to like, okay, let's put on that perfection hat, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great metaphor for life, by the way, because I'm not a crazy martial artist like you. I've trained some. And by the way, Stephen has been my teacher.
There we go.
I have trained with Stephen. He's been my coach. And I do think, first, I'll just say this, that you do bring a really great blend of, you know, drilling skills, but also keeping it lighthearted, keeping it positive. I mean, there's rigor in it, but there's also, you know, you have a sense of humor. You kind of
got to keep it fun, right? You got to keep it fun.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is a metaphor for life, in that, like, as you live more and you get older, not that we're getting any older, but you realize how little you actually know as time goes on. And in some way, there's a real blessing in that, because there's a freedom. It's like, oh,
right.
The world is so much wider than I thought it was.
Pressure is off of you. You don't have to know everything, kids, because you'll never get there.
Yeah. But you do a great job with your kids, because I mean, I know your kids separate from, you know, seeing them do our
separate from me. They just chill together. They hang out.
We just hang out.
Play video games.
But they seem to really genuinely love training and martial arts. Would you say that's true? They're passionate about it, like you.
I mean, I believe so.
Yeah.
You know, unless I always have a fear that they're doing it to make me happy, but
that only goes so far, right? I mean,
I think they truly enjoy it, because they
like it.
You know, I gave them a choice really early on. I mean, I can't, for parents out there who want to get their kids into something, you know, whether it's baseball, martial arts, or anything, I think the thing to do for me, which worked, was I didn't start them in martial arts. Don't start them in the thing that's important to you or you think would benefit them. Because when you're 3-4 years old, you're just learning how to walk. You just kind of talk. You're learning how to socialize. So whatever you do at first, most likely you're going to suck at.
Yeah.
And most likely you're not going to like it because you suck at it. You know, so we signed them up for gymnastics because to me, it's like, I don't care if they're gymnasts or not, you know, but gymnastics, I think, is like the best sport to learn for any sport, as far as, you know, your mobility, your flexibility, your discipline, your class environment, team building, but then, learning to work out by yourself individually. So we did gymnastics in the beginning. They cried every class. And I was like, yes, they're not crying in martial arts. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be scarred from martial arts.
Yeah.
And then I would take them to the different gyms with me when I would work out, and and they would just watch. And then they would watch. Then slowly we would play in the boxing ring. So they would just like play games. And then when they finally asked if they could train, I said, no, not yet.
Was that hard?
Boom.
Was that hard to say?
No, because I had the plan. It was like they fell into my trap. It was like this whole plan,
Yeah.
Eddie Bravo, Eddie Bravo? He's got a great story of how, he was saying like enter the dragon when he entered the dragon, and like it's life-changing. And he was saying for his kids, he waited until the right moment to show them. He waited until the right moment when they can receive it.
Yeah.
And I think it's that mentality of waiting until it's right, being patient.
So how old were they when they asked?
They were, God, people are going to think I'm so nuts because they were probably 4.
Yeah. Well, that's the same age as you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were 4.
And then how long did you make them wait?
And then so from 4 to 5, we just started playing games, nothing to do with martial arts, but they were martial art games.
Right.
So it was teaching them early skills as far as like stances and answering the phone to get your guard up. We're just messing around like that. So then they had a foundation. And then when they were 5, I made a deal with them and I gave them a choice.
Okay.
I said, you can either take this path and we're going to do martial arts. I'll teach you, or my friends will teach you, or all of us will. We're going to go this path and we'll treat it like a hobby, like you treat baseball,
right,
or like you treat whatever you do,
right,
as a hobby. Or if you want to follow the path of a warrior, then you're going to go this path. This path is a lot harder, but it's a lot more rewarding. And it doesn't have to be martial arts. It could be anything. You can fill in the gaps. So I don't know how much of this they really understood, but it seemed like that they did. And they said, we want to take the warrior's path. And to this day, every year, January 1st, we renew that contract. And I say, do you still want to take this path? Because if you do, it's a lot of commitment from mom and dad, taking you to classes, paying classes, organizing stuff.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it, it's your choice. We will continue down that path. If you want to transition into a hobbyist path and then replace that with something else, that's cool. That's fine with me. And so far?
Well, so what does that mean exactly? Like a warrior path? Like what did you describe to them the difference would be? Like you'll train a lot more, or and was this just mostly with regard to martial arts, or was it also with regard to like school and education and just how they would show up to anything?
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't go into detail about the school and education because I would just lose them, but but I think if you're an athlete in any sport and you have that mentality, and then someone shows you how to use that same approach to life, it's just going to happen naturally because that's just what you know. That's just how you approach things. So the path really was to seek perfection.
Okay.
So if you want to throw a punch, here's a punch. If you're doing the punch for fun, just do it for fun, and we'll keep you active and fit. Do it a couple times a week just for basic self-defense and for fitness, no problem. But if you want to be great, then we really got to break it down. And I'm going to look at you and say, your right toe is not engaging. You got to turn this, you got to do that. So meaning you're going to have to get up early every day. We're going to have to train. You're going to have to miss birthday parties.
Wow.
There's probably not sleepover camps or whatever. If you're going to go to tournaments, like you're going to have to sacrifice.
Right.
If you feel like it's a sacrifice, certain things in order to go down this path.
Wow. And every year they recommit.
Every year.
Now, how old are they now?
They just turned 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've been at it 4 years?
Yeah. They've been at it 4 years, like solid, like,
Yeah.
We put in I don't know how many hours, like maybe 10 to 15 hours a week during the school session. And then during summer, you guys are
on. I know. Cause like you guys are, the type of training that you do with your kids, like you train them, but then you also bring in coaches from all different disciplines.
Yeah.
They compete in a few different disciplines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, I mean, I'm super blessed that I know a lot of people, you know, just from the fight world and from the stunt world. So
yeah,
it's great because we can bring in, like, Gavin Taragawa is one of my good friends, and he's a you know, a new stunt guy, but an amazing jiu-jitsu, you know, athlete. So he's been training them like every Sunday since they were, you know, 5 years old.
Wow.
And then we have like different wrestling coaches, and then now we're at Legacy Jiu-Jitsu with Alberto Crane, so they're also going there. And then I work with them on stand-up. And then when we can, we have time, we'll go to like several boxing gyms to work. It's really, it's your dad's philosophy, you know, which when my wife, when Nina, who you know, when she was pregnant, I actually had anxiety about what style to teach the kids. And I'm sure I drove her crazy. I'm like, what do I do? And she's like, number one, they're not born yet.
Right.
Number two, when they're born, you're going to have several years to make up your mind. But I was like, I was having anxiety about, what if they don't like martial arts? What if they, I mean, oh my God, I'm sure there's got to be some freaks out there that relate to this. But, you know, I was thinking like, well, should we start the way I did it, right? I started in one style, and back then you could only choose one style. I mean, you know, you could only choose one. Your dad was the only one that knew that was wrong. But everyone else that, no, you stick to one style, you stick to one sifu, one sensei, you don't veer off. Otherwise you're a traitor, you're a rat, you're the, you know, it was really looked down upon to even study anything else.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, do I do that? I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to go back and how would I coach myself?
Right.
How would I coach my 4-year-old self?
If you'd been allowed.
Yeah. My mom would have let me. Mom, love you. So the answer to me was like, well, I know kids can learn different languages.
Yeah, sure.
So what's the difference between playing kickball and soccer and baseball? It's all a ball, but you know the different rules. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
So it was kind of an experiment, honestly, to see what would happen if it would just like confuse them, but it didn't. And they actually, like your dad said, it all blends into one.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what we've been doing.
So what was your style? What did you train in?
I started off in Kenpo.
Oh, okay.
Polynesian Kenpo, Ed Parker system, who hosted the
Karate International, Long Beach International.
Right.
Yep.
What, 64 or was that 60?
64 and 67.
He was in both? Your dad?
Yes.
I always thought that was just 1 year.
No, initial year was 64, but then he came back in 67 too.
What's the footage from? Are the footage from both of those?
We have both, yeah.
Oh, how weird. It just blows my mind. I thought it was like just 1 year.
Yeah, I mean the main year was 64.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first system, and then just, you know, branched off from there. And then when I was like kind of out of high school, Jet Li saw me at a tournament and recruited me, so I started working out with their crew, and then that led to Ninja Turtles, and then
I see.
And you know, and then just kind of branched off and started doing a bunch of everything, basically.
What did you start your kids in? I mean, I know you said it was a few things, but like
kind of everything at the same time. But the primary focus is jiu-jitsu and wrestling, primarily because they can go 100%. They could swim in the water. You know, they could swim in the water without injuring themselves. Yeah. So
my dad, just so I don't know if you know this, you probably did, but he always said he thought that like judo or wrestling or something was a great thing to start kids with.
Because, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's gross motor skills, and they can use, and they get to use their whole body and
it's fun. What kid doesn't like to
roll around on a
roll
mat,
and slam somebody around? Yeah. But I just love it for the training because they can compete. I mean, they compete every day. They can go, 90% on each other and relatively not get hurt, but they're not going to have CTI. They're not going to have, brain damage. And so we practice striking, but I don't let them, no contact to the head, just the body, or I'll hold mitts for them. So,
yeah. Wow. Well, so for those of you who don't know, you can look on, you'll look in the show notes to get all the information as to where to get everything about Steven and about the Twinjas. But they do segments for the Bruce Lee social media page. We were just talking about, you're up to like segment number 72.
Yeah, we're in the 70s now, once a week.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I know. We started this in the pandemic, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we all thought it was going to be like to fill in the gap for a couple weeks. Hey, Steven, what do you think about doing a show once a week? It'll just go for like a month or so.
Yeah, and here we are still doing it. But you guys do such great, fun, creative segments with the two boys who are identical twins.
Yeah, identical twins. So great training partners. Ideal training partners for each other.
Yeah. So check those out because that's awesome. So we've been talking already a lot about family. And obviously you've got a whole family business situation happening here. And one of the things I'm just asking everybody is what is like the feeling of family? Like, you think of the word family, like what is the feeling of that for you?
Wow. I think to me, family is being able to be yourself, where you can just drop everything and just be who you are at all times. And if that means you're feeling happy or you're feeling sad or either one, it doesn't matter. It's just being yourself.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is the ultimate goal in life, right? But we can't do that because of work and this thing called professionalism,
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that I work toward in my life is to try to show up as myself in my own skin, no matter what situation I find myself in, whether it's work or whether it's family gatherings or whether it's with my friends or whether it's whatever, and obviously there are slightly different circumstances to that, but like I want to just work to be comfortable in my skin and not feel like, oh, I've got to put on a show for anyone.
So much easier. It's so much easier. You would think that's harder, but it's not. It's actually easier just to be yourself.
Totally. Just have to sort of get over the fear of like what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Which is what my dad would talk about all the time. Right. Yeah.
100%.
So, as you know, also, my dad had the very famous quote of under the sky, under the heavens, there's but one family, which I think is such a beautiful and accurate thing to say and sentiment. And of course, things are very strained in our one human family at the moment. So what do you think? What do you think our family, our human family needs right now to be more one?
I think we need the gray area, and we need to feel comfortable living in the gray. Because everyone is either this side or that side, this side or that side. Choose your team. Fight. Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, why can't you do both? I have great friends that are Democrats, great friends that are Republicans. It's like you can understand and just listen to each other. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, and it gets to be a thing where we want to impose ourselves, our view, our life conditions on someone else.
Right.
And rather than just let people be. And it's a hard thing to do. But I think that would make the world such a better place to be if we could just, by the way, anything that you do in your life, in your private life, it has nothing to do with me.
What do you care?
and vice versa. And we can live together in the same place, in the same way, right? What'd you say?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always the same thing. It's just like drop your ego. I think people everyone's holding their flags like so high.
Yeah.
Like it's a religious war, and I guess it is in many places, but.
Well, it makes me think about what my dad said about styles, right? It's like styles separate people, just like, all these different doctrines that people subscribe to. They separate people rather than bring people together, because in some ways it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, when you were like, you didn't study with anybody else initially in martial arts because it was like you had to defend
You're holding your flag. You're
Yeah.
holding that flag,
Yeah.
But, going back to styles, it's a great point, because right now, like I said, I have this renewed enthusiasm for all different types of martial arts because I want to expose the boys to it. And as I'm exposing them, I'm learning new things, styles that I haven't had the chance to study before.
Right.
But so through it all, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's wrestling, judo, capoeira, boxing, whatever style, I mean, those are just 5 that I've mentioned off the top of my head that we do regularly. All their mentors, my friends in those styles, the one consistency is Bruce. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
That's like everyone's got a Bruce shirt. Everyone talks about Bruce.
Yeah.
So you can, if one style is completely different than another, wrestling is all grappling, no punching. Boxing is completely standing up tall, using your hands.
Right.
But there is the bond that they understand that they're both martial arts, different types of martial arts. And they have a respect for each other, even though they may not agree with that style. Like a boxer may not ever have an interest to wrestle. A wrestler may, why do I need to throw punches? I'm just going to pick you up and slam you. Like everyone's got their own beliefs, but I think they have an appreciation for the work ethic of that other style.
Right.
So if everyone would just study martial arts of any kind, I don't care, then I think the world would be a better place, honestly.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I have advocated also, like in my book, I mention it, and I've mentioned it many times on the podcast. I've mentioned it in interviews and on panels. Like people have lay people out in the world have a wrong idea about martial arts as promoting violence, like your parents did, like my father's parents did, right? But really at the core of it, it's not that. It's about inner work, and it's about developing oneself. And once you sort of like develop that inner strength, like you suddenly, there's a peaceableness that comes about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most martial artists at a high level are the calmest, nicest people that with no ego and like, hey, they're the ones, if someone goes up to them in a bar and pushes them or throws a drink, they're the ones that are going to go, oh, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
And walk off because they know the repercussions,
Right. Yeah. No. And so I agree with you. Like now, they have to be taught well and by a good teacher and all of that. But I do really think that training in martial arts is such a gift.
Just a little bit. You don't have to dedicate your whole life, but I think if you have an understanding of it, then it gives you a perspective on life that can't be beat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big believer that every kid should learn. If you're gonna have kids do PE, like it's mandatory.
Yeah.
Just have a semester of martial arts.
Yeah.
You have baseball, you have basketball. Yeah. Just a semester of martial arts. That's it.
They did start doing that at my daughter's school, at Wren's school. They started introducing martial arts. So the kids would do for PE, they I think starting in middle school, they would do a semester of yoga and then a semester of martial arts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They would go back and forth.
That's great.
Yeah. It gives you, for me, I know that when I trained in martial arts when I was younger, like it changed my whole bearing, my whole way of being in the world. Like it gave me confidence, it gave me grounding, it made me feel capable. And it just, it worked on that inner strength and that centering for myself also, which just made moving through the world easier. Yeah.
And I think with more clarity.
Yeah.
All those traits I believe that you can get that in any sport.
You can for sure. Yeah.
But the difference is,
Yeah.
in order to get that in tennis, you're going to have to be at the top level. And then everything is like, oh, then you're just this spiritual Zen tennis player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have that same mentality as a boxer would.
Yeah.
The same mentality. The difference with martial arts is from day one, as a white belt, as a beginner, you're taught, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Not just for the physical part. We're doing this for here, for your soul.
Right.
So I think right away, oh, this is part of the deal.
Well, and also I think like it incorporates your whole body in such a different way than other sports do sometimes. And also there's something about punching and kicking and learning to defend, the emotions that come up, like when you're partnering with another person or you're having to like hit something really hard or defend against an attack. There's something about that sort of like higher stakes type of
pressure
interactivity that gives an instant respect to what you're doing and also makes you like levels up your awareness really quickly.
Yeah. It's the animal instinct.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're put under pressure and you never know how good you are until you're actually under pressure.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing with martial arts. I mean, I believe that there's nothing that happens on the mat or in the dojo that doesn't happen in real life. Everything that you go through when you're training will happen in real life. And so if you can deal with it, in a safe environment with four walls there, and you learn as a child how to deal with it when you get in real life and things are thrown at you, like, oh, I've dealt with that. I know that feeling when I want to quit and I'm gassed out and someone's pummeling on me, but I have to continue. And at the end, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to take that approach and do that with this.
Or even emotionally, like someone comes at you emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Like inside you go like, but then you're able to sort of like wait and respond in a little bit at a certain level of skill, but like that's part of it. Like I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I just remember the first time I ever got in a ring to spar and the person came at me and I was like, holy crap, like, but all those emotions come up and you have to learn to manage those and keep your wits about you.
Yeah.
And that helps you so much in life too. Just
a lot of task management. You got to deal with this fire in front of me.
Yeah.
And then strategize everything. I mean,
totally.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. No, I agree with you though. It's great. It's great training. Well, so one of the things that I ask everyone that comes on the podcast is if you had one piece of wisdom or one lesson that you've learned that you could just pass on and give like a gift to someone if they were ready to receive it, what would you give? Doesn't have to be the ultimate one. Like,
oh my God, talk about pressure.
But just any. Yeah. Are you ready?
Yes. I think it's been said so many times by your father and other people and in different religions, but it really is, to me, it's about having an empty cup. I think that's just the most valuable lesson you can learn in life.
And so what does that mean to you?
Meaning to always be open to all ideas without a preconceived notion of, even if you've experienced something that was shitty, and in your heart, oh, this sucks, right? If you come back next year and it's presented in front of you again, have an open mind and take a look at it again, because things may have changed. Maybe you like broccoli now.
It's so funny that you just said that. I was literally just thinking exactly that. Not broccoli, but like there's so many things food-wise that I was like, I hate this. I'm never eating that. And then you try it a few years later and you're like, you know what? That's not bad.
Yeah. But it's a life lesson. I mean, I remind myself of that every day, and still, like, if I'm in a conversation with someone and someone who's maybe on the opposite side of my beliefs, and they're talking to me, and instead of like in my head, I'm like thinking of a rebuttal,
Right.
And I'm like, no, stop it.
Right.
Listen, man. Listen to what they're saying, because I may not agree with the final outcome of what they want, but it's important for me to understand why they want that.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
Well, it's you connecting to their humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think having an empty cup, that's like, it's something that I strive for.
Yeah, no, I thank you for sharing that and reiterating that. And I said that in my book too. So the second chapter of my book is called The Empty Cup.
What do you think I got it from, people? I'm no dummy.
And I say in there, literally, if this one thing is the only thing that you really practice and learn and take away from everything that I've written in here, it will change your life completely.
Because there's so many things attached to that, right? If you have an empty cup, you're going to be humble. Right. There's humility. There's so much that goes with that. So
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that is very much attached to what you said in terms of like the gray, right? It's like if you have an empty cup, you have more willingness to listen.
And you'll learn. I mean, especially for martial artists out there, really learn from all systems. Yeah. Even if you think that they're junk, I'm telling you, there's something in everything that's out there. You just have to know how to find it, and then you use that for yourself. You use that to make it work for you.
I think that that's true about everything. Like literally, like there's something in everything if you have the awareness and the ability to sort of like just stay open and really perceive.
Yeah.
Like even for me, like getting up and doing the dishes, like there's a lesson in it every time in a weird way. You know what I mean? It's like
there's your follow-up book, Zen and the Art of Dish Cleaning.
Exactly.
I see it.
I'm sure it'll sell like hotcakes. I recently myself just I have this project I've been working on, and I just kept coming at it with this particular point of view, particular attitude, and it was agitating me and irritating me. And I was like, no, this has nothing to do with the other people involved in this. It has only to do with me.
Is this a project we're working on? Is she talking about me?
No.
It's a passive aggressive way of telling me I'm
telling you. Yes, that's right. So anyway, I'm not doing that project anymore. No, it's not our project. But I realized like I'm coming to this with my cup full. My cup full of the perspective I'm holding, the feelings I'm holding, the irritation, the agitation, and I'm not allowing for there to be anything else. So I was like, okay, got to empty that out.
100%.
Is there something you do to empty out the cup, the mental cup?
I just kind of slap myself inside. Like I just check myself like, dude, literally, like I just check myself. If I find myself going there, I just check it.
Yeah.
Like, no. Just be there. Yeah. No. It's like we took acting class together, right? Oh, not together, but sort of together. Same school, same thing, just a year apart or so. But one of the lessons in the Meisner technique is, if you're not sure what's happening, is what just happened? How do I feel about it? So I always go back to that, and it's like, if you have an empty cup, you can ask that question.
Right.
What just happened? How do I feel about it now? And then kind of take it in, as opposed to not even thinking about what just happened, but then just coming back with my retort.
Yeah.
So I can throw up, and you guys, two people just take turns throwing up on each other, and then nothing gets resolved.
Right. Yeah. There's so much more nuance too in that, like, because your perspective is broader.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot about our acting class.
Your intro is going to be like, I think you should just cut to the good stuff. Just leave it at that. Just say dad to the Twinjas. That's it.
So before we go, what are you excited about right now?
Oh God, I'm excited about life right now. I really am. Yeah. I mean, it's, the last year was the whole year during COVID, right? It was a year, right? It was a combination of being the best of times and the worst of times, but the good that I took out of it was just the family time.
Yeah.
The family time. It's like, whoa, we're all here together. Oh my God, this is like an extended staycation. Let's just take advantage of that. So that's the benefit that came out of it. And as a family, we're trying to maintain that. And to not get back into the grind of work where, you're out or you're doing this or doing that. And then you come home and then you're still thinking of something else because your cup is full, right? Of work and worries. Like, nope. When I'm home, I'm going to empty that out too. And I'm just present what's going on. So I think from COVID, I learned that from COVID. Wow. And I'm trying to keep that. Trying to maintain that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you. What a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure for me too. I mean, we do have projects we're working on. So we're in constant contact a lot, but I'm so happy to have you on the podcast because you haven't been out here yet.
I know. Thank you.
So it's so perfect that you're here during the family segment. And so everybody go check out what Stephen Ho's got going on. And
we'll see you on a Wednesday on the Bruce Lee account every Wednesday.
Yeah. For the Twinjas.
We'll see you there.
And their dad. All right. Thanks, everyone.